In the Rio Grande Valley, border crossings start well before sunrise. It's 4:30 a.m., and state troopers have just intercepted a group of migrants.
Todos ustedes los que tengan un modo de identificación, me lo puedan presentar, por favor.
These men and women have just crossed the border illegally. Mexico is a few hundred meters away. In Valverde County, border crossings happen daily but surge during the weekend.
¿Cuántos de ustedes menores de 18?
18.
Okay.
14 y 12.
Esta es una familia. Esta es una familia.
Todos.
Esta es una familia. Sí.
Okay.
This family is from Venezuela. They traveled by bus through 7 countries to make it to the U.S.
El viaje
Fuerte,
muy fuerte. Nosotros tenemos una semana en esto. Imagínate. Todo lo que ustedes no oyen noticias de Venezuela, todo lo que está pasando el gobierno. No.
El gobierno está acabando con todo. Nos quitó el trabajo porque somos opositores y somos seguidores, perdimos la bolsa de comida, la gasolina ahora hay que pagarla en dólares, no hay beneficios.
No hay medicina.
No hay medicina.
Miriam Nunez is the eldest. The 61-year-old traveled with her son, his wife, and their 4 children. It was her idea to come to the U.S., so she thanks God they made it safe and sound.
Gracias, Señor. Muchas gracias, mi rey. Bendigo la tierra de los Estados Unidos, Señor, por recibirnos, Padre. Muchas gracias, mi Señor. Muchas gracias, Padre, porque fuiste mi guiador.
The other people in the group are also from Venezuela. Just a few hours ago, they didn't even know Miriam and her family. They met on the Mexican side of the Rio Grande and crossed the river together.
They're 15, and apparently it's a total of maybe 50, I want to say. And they were saying the rest of the group, they just kept walking that way on Valverde. So I don't know if the other 2 got them. They got them. Okay.
After arrests are made by state troopers, Border Patrol takes over. They count the children, single men, and families. And they take some first safety measures.
Empezando, quítese las cintas de los zapatos, las cachuchas, aretes, collares, pulseras, todo eso va a las mochilas.
In South Texas, most law enforcement agents speak Spanish, and they're often from immigrant families themselves. A few bags is all these migrants have from the country they left behind. They're taken to a processing center where their asylum application will be reviewed. A scene all too familiar at the U.S.-Mexico border, even more so since Joe Biden took office. Back in Washington, Republicans accuse the Biden administration of minimizing the situation at the border, which they call a full-blown immigration crisis. Since the beginning of the year, illegal border crossings into the U.S. have surged, reaching a 20-year high. Democrats, however, claim that while immigration is a real issue, it's been a long-standing one.
We saw that in 2014 under Obama. We saw that in 2019 under Trump, and now we're seeing this under Biden. So this is the 3rd surge in the last 7, 8 years. What's different this time, it's a larger amount of people coming in than we've seen in the past. There were a couple things. The impression that the administration took certain steps, for example, getting rid of some policies at the border, the migrant protection protocols that we have that would hold people across the border before they can ask for asylum.
In the U.S., migrants can seek asylum if they can prove they've been persecuted in their country based on their race, religion, nationality, or political ideas. That's not enough for the congressman, who wants to expand the criteria.
The messaging that the administration, with all due respect, when they said don't come now, come later, was not a good message. A lot of those people are coming in because they want to have a better life. That's not allowed under the asylum law. I believe in immigration reform. I want to see people come in the right way. The summary way that we look at it at the border is we believe in legal migration. We're against illegal migration.
Expanding legal immigration, that's also what Valverde County Sheriff Joe Martinez wants. Despite 30-plus years in law enforcement, he's never seen immigration quite at this level.
In past years, we see people coming across, but my office deals with 2 or 3 a month, and never seen this. Neither has our federal partner.
There are 24 deputies to cover an area of about 20 million acres that shares 177 kilometers with the Mexican border. Usually, that's enough manpower, but since the beginning of the year, border crossings and assisting Border Patrol takes up about 75% of their work.
So right here is where the immigrants have been coming across. They present themselves on the Mexican side.
This private property has been abandoned. That's in part why it's become a favorite point of entry for migrants. But it's also because here, the Rio Grande is relatively narrower, a smaller danger to cross in hopes of a better life.
Right now, there's people fleeing their countries because their government is a threat to them. They're not safe in their own country, so they're looking for a better way of life in the United States. So that's why these people are making this journey, and hopefully they get that opportunity. You know, we are a country of immigrants ourselves. It's heartbreaking that there's no easy solution to the problem that presents itself.
Sheriff Martinez is a Democrat, but he is critical of how politicians on both sides use immigration for political gain instead of finding solutions.
I would call it a crisis. People are dying. This administration has sent the message out that they're going to be more lax. There's going to be more an opportunity to come to the United States. I think that message was sent, even though that they want to say that the borders are closed, they're not.
Just as our interview was wrapping up, a family appeared in the distance, on the Mexican side of the Rio Grande. This time of year, the water level is low, making it easier to cross on foot without the risk of being swept away by the current. They are not hiding. Instead, they walk straight into the arms of law enforcement. Exhausted, but relieved, this couple and their child know that they finally made it on U.S. soil.
You got him?
No. ¿De qué país?
Venezuela.
Venezuela, ok, pásale por acá, por favor.
Gracias. Buenas
Ajá, de
tardes.
nada, bienvenidos a Estados Unidos.
Buenas tardes, gracias.
Rosario and Enrique left their home about a year ago. Before making it to the U.S., they lived in Colombia for a few months to make some money. She claims they did not pay so-called coyotes from Mexican cartels to get them to the United States, but migrants who do so often stay silent for fear of retaliation.
Ya estamos en eso, vamos a empezar el proceso legal, ¿sabes, no? Y bueno, nos estamos comunicando. Chao, papá, nos vemos pronto. Chao, hermano, un abrazo.
Este es el país de las grandes oportunidades y estamos muy contentos de estar en este país, que sabemos que todo el que viene para acá tiene la oportunidad que en otros lugares no la hemos podido tener. Es un país bueno que acobija a muchos inmigrantes y con este nuevo presidente más todavía, con este nuevo gobierno nos atrevimos a hacerlo.
No, ya está listo.
Like Rosario and Enrique, most migrants arriving in Del Rio are families who want to be taken into custody in order to seek asylum. But further down south, it's mostly single men led by coyotes.
Looks like it was cut too. I'll leave it like this so I can come back and fix it tomorrow.
Marcus and Stephanie Canales are farmers. He's the grandson of Mexican immigrants. She's a fourth-generation Texan. They say their fences are regularly destroyed by what they call bailouts, car chases between pickup trucks full of migrants and the police.
The driver, smuggler, coyote, whatever you want to call him, takes his load and tries to make it north. That's when law enforcement intercepts him. And once law enforcement intercepts them, then they're trying to evade the law. So that's when they bust through the fences, the gates, run as far as they can, and jump out of the vehicle, either by wrecking the vehicle out or when the vehicle comes to a stop. And that's the bailout. They jump out at that point and run every which direction. You know, sometimes it can be 4 or 5 people depending on the vehicle. A lot of times it's 10, 15, 18. One vehicle had 35, you know, not far from us, had 35 in that vehicle. So
they pack in as many as they can because that coyote is getting paid per person.
Yeah.
So as many people as they can pack in, that's more money.
They say these chases happen several times a week. Just a few days ago, a truck was left on their land.
And that's where they all bailed out. Some of the items left behind were a cell phone. There's more of the damage. There's the truck.
Marcus Canales is worried that the porous border is making his home less safe. In this county, arrests have surged since the start of the year.
What, 3 days ago, caught a guy. Yeah, he was convicted felon, wanted for rape, and he was trying to come back, and he got caught with the group. And I mean, they're not all like that, but you know, if you're in the middle of nowhere, which we are, I mean, obviously you can see how thick it is. 10, 15, like my wife said, 15 people come up to you. Who's good, who's bad? I don't know, because I don't know you. You know, I mean, I have no idea.
Stephanie Canales raises cattle on the farm.
Hello, ladies.
She was born here and never left the area. She's used to seeing border crossings, but she feels they're getting out of control.
We are all for legal immigration to this country. I'm very much for that, but we cannot just let people walk over here not knowing exactly where they're from and what their intent is once they cross the border. A lot of landowners, ranchers all along the border feel like the current administration isn't hearing us and our concerns because they're not admitting that there's even a problem down here when we're the ones that are living it every day.
Before the summer, Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a border crisis disaster declaration for more than 24 counties along the U.S.-Mexico border. His security plan includes restarting Donald Trump's border wall project. In Del Rio, we meet Miriam again. She's being helped by a local group as she waits to be reunited with the rest of her family, still in police custody.
Pero él lo están chequeando allá y lo traen en la tarde. Pero ya yo estoy lista.
Democrats and Republicans have been tearing each other apart over the border, turning a humanitarian crisis into a political one, with immigration expected to once again be a key issue ahead of the 2022 midterms.